Welcome to Permission to Kick Ass, the show that gives you a virtual seat at the bar for the real conversations that happen between entrepreneurs. I'm interviewing all kinds of business owners, from those just a few years into freelancing to CEOs helming 9-figure companies. If you've ever worried that everyone else just seems to get it and you're missing something or messing things up, this show is for you. I'm your host, Angie Coley, and let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to Permission to Kick Ass. With me today is my new friend, Patrick Rogers. Say hi.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me on the show, Angie.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I can just feel the good energy is coming on this one. All right. So tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
Yeah. So I guess, a little bit of a backstory. I was actually in college. I was a nuclear engineer, I was fascinated with fission and fusion and made it through first year of college, and my parents could only afford, 1 year. And so going in sophomore year, I had a 4.0 and was in great shape. And all the men in my family were in the Navy. And when the opportunity presented itself for a full ride scholarship to become a nuclear naval officer, which I was fascinated with, and at the same time, the opportunity to defend my country and freedom, I jumped on it, got the scholarship, and then I became a commissioned officer. Proud to serve my country, and I decided after my first child was born, I exited the military and pursued a career with a Fortune 100 company as district sales manager. And while I was successful in that, I also realized that working for the man is not going to get me to where I want to be in life. That's when I started a property management company, started flipping houses to generate wealth, which is, what many of us are after. And turns out I was pretty good at business, so successful at scaling my company that was approached by other CEOs of property management companies who asked me to mentor them. And that's how I broke into the consulting world, which is where I am now, coaching and consulting. And so I ended up coaching CEOs in just about every industry. I still do coach occasionally. I'll take on clients since 2009 very successfully. And, my average client went from working 60 plus hours a week to less than 20 and increasing their profits by 200, 300, 400%. And, I think I've coached upwards of 250 business owners over the years. And while coaching was and is very rewarding, I've now turned my focus to mergers and acquisitions. And so what I do now, Angie, to long-winded answer to your question, is I help founders and CEOs of $4 to $40 million companies who want to grow faster, are burned out, or just not making the income they once dream of. I help them grow through acquisitions.
That's incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
Blown away by that journey. And I can honestly say, I'm pretty sure you're the first nuclear engineer that I've had on the show. That's awesome.
All right.
We're having milestones all day today. And wow, what a journey. What a big switch to go from Navy vet to working for this company to becoming an owner of a company to consulting. And wow, every evolution, I'm just kind of fascinated about what led you to that decision. Was it something that you fell into? Was it something that you got introduced to? How did that happen?
Great question. Is when I was working for the company, I was trying to generate wealth, and I was doing it through flipping houses. Mm-hmm. And there's just something inside of me that just I get motivated by taking something that is somebody else's, I won't say trash, but there's an opportunity for improvement. So I totally get motivated by being able to find the thing that needs to be fixed, fix the thing, and then move on. And so early on, I identified that, not property management, but flipping houses was good. You make a lot of money at it. But what if you could do the same thing in businesses? I actually attended a conference 10 years ago, and it was about how to flip businesses. And I said, well, I'm not quite ready for that. Maybe I was, or maybe I wasn't, but I wanted to know business inside and out before I started doing that. So that's why I became one of the reasons I became a coach, is so that I would force myself to learn business and get paid to do it, so that when I do start doing mergers and acquisitions and buying my own companies as well, I'm going to know what the heck I'm doing.
Oh, that's fascinating, because that was one of the things that I was writing down as I was listening. It's I imagine that there are some people that are listening that are interested in that, and they're going, but don't you need an MBA for that? Did you get an MBA? Nope. Or was that all on the job training?
Absolutely not. No, yes. I see all these things behind me, these books, read every single one, not twice, but a lot of them. And I've taken so many courses and have so many mentors. There's a real power in, finding someone who has done what you want to do and snuggling up really close to them.
I kind of love that visual. And
Right?
the image
Yeah.
that popped up into my head was me grabbing one of my mentors and snuggling him and being like,
Yeah,
just
right. Yeah.
tell me your
Just
secrets.
osmosis. Just give me what you got. Come on. Bring it on.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And I had no idea that the conversation was going to go there. But like, there are so many of us, I feel, that hold ourselves back from making any kind of steps or changes because we feel like I don't have the education or I need to commit to this multi-year MBA and learn a whole bunch of stuff that may or may not help me on this journey. And so I love that you came at it from the perspective of, I could get paid to learn this. I'm just going to go dig into businesses while I get paid to learn more about how to run a business. Like,
exactly.
And the fact that you had the awareness to make that a conscious decision. I had something similar happen very early on in my freelancing journey. So like we're now a world away from what you do, but this was more creative service business. I didn't really know anything about business. And I was very new to the world of copywriting and marketing. And so I had like a twofold problem. I've got to solve both of these things. And that was my decision too. I'm going to go in-house and get paid and get mentored in being better at copywriting.
Totally love it.
Stack up some wins and get some results and learn what I don't know I need to know.
Yeah.
And then go out and learn the business skills. And I feel like there are a lot of, especially in the creative industry, might not be as much of an issue in the field where you work, but like people think in creatives that I'm not good at business. I don't know what I'm doing. And newsflash, a lot of us don't.
Yeah, no, it's just, it takes time. And again, it takes somebody who's the best business people are willing to learn. They're coachable, they're humble, and they understand and know that somebody else before them has done it better, and just learn, just be willing to be coachable. Yeah.
We're never the best at what we do, and we're never the worst either. And everybody is just, I think as long as you come into it with that intention of trying to make something out of what you're doing and trying to help people, I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
So tell me a little bit more about the consultancy, because I know that that's fairly new. Am I correct on that one?
Yeah. So the mergers and acquisitions consultancy, and in the last 6 months, I mean, I've done acquisitions myself. I've purchased companies, and that's one of the things that really hit me is that, I was coaching these clients for the last 10 years and helping them get growth. They're getting, maybe 10 to 15% organic growth, which is decent, right? If you're a $5 million company, you're getting 15, 20% growth. It's not that bad.
That's big.
But 200% growth through acquisitions, well, now we're talking, right? And that's what we're doing, is we're helping every business pretty much double their size every year. So if you're a $5 million company this year, next year you'll be a $10 million company, and then the year after that you'll be a $20 million company, and the year after that you'll be 40. And so this is very possible. And the whole concept of this is, it really hit me. I went to one of those men's retreats. Actually, it's still an ongoing thing, but there comes a time when you're like, what am I really here for? And I found out and figured out that what I stand for is freedom. Everything in my life has been all about the pursuit of freedom. And I want to spread freedom throughout the world, because when entrepreneurs truly win, I'm not talking $1.7 million business growing 10%, because that person is stuck in the business. They're not able to really impact the world. I'm talking true freedom. That is the bedrock of the world. Not only do they create generational wealth for their families, but when entrepreneurs get freedom, they do great things. They give back. They're philanthropic. And so my clients are able to more than 20 to 25x their business value in 5 years or less with this strategy. So a $44 million company can grow to $60 million company or more in 5 years. And it's all possible with the right strategy.
Oh, that's
kind
awesome.
It's kind of like being in the fast lane, right? The HOV fast lane. You stay in the slow lane and get there 20, 30 years from now, but why not get there in a couple of years, right?
I'm keeping you in my Rolodex, because that's always been one of my long-term goals on the vision board, was to own companies that other people run. I don't want to do it forever. I don't.
Perfect. Absolutely.
And I like that idea of being part of the people who create, like, even copywriting has always been fascinating to me, because that's more sales oriented writing, but to create a product or a sale or a conversation out of thin air, it takes something special, and not everybody is willing to do that or to even try to do that. So I love that. And creating value the way that you do. Incredible.
No brainer.
So tell me a little bit more about, because I know that we talked a little bit before the show about your journey, and that it wasn't always smooth sailing. So I know that there was a time back in the pandemic when we all struggled, that something happened to your business that almost threw things off track. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, Angie, I've had lots of times in my career where things have threw me off track, but the one you're referring to was the pandemic. As many people experienced, I had just broken into kind of a new segment of consulting. So before I was coaching like $500,000 businesses and below, and I attended this. I then studied like how to really help bigger companies really, and their problem is culture and people and leadership and all that kind of stuff. So I broke into that. And within 3 months, I went from, where I was before, I think it was like $3,000 a month to over $19,000 a month in 3 months. And this was right as the pandemic was just kind of boiling up over in China. It hadn't really hit over here yet. And then it hit here. And within a month and a half, I lost 75% of that income. Because these were companies that the ones I was attracting, there were a lot of service companies. There were companies that were getting shut down. They were just, their future was very unknown, and so pretty much got turned off. And that was 9 clients I picked up in 3 months.
Wow!
And so so I mean, I finally found something. I was like, yes, I am just kicking ass. Excuse me. and
you can swear on the show.
Okay, all right, cool. I mean, that's the name of it, right? So, so I was kicking ass in 3 months. I had picked from 3,000 to 19,000. What? How? Who does that? Like nobody does that. Yes.
Celebrate winning.
And then I was back down to like 7,000 or something, 7,500, which is not. I mean, okay, I'm paying my bills. Life is good, but I was on the trajectory, and so. What I did though is I took a pause and I pivoted. And so what I did is I took everything that I had learned and I've been practicing and I turned it into a video collection, a video of how to take. So I turned it into 60 videos over the next 4 months of how to transform anybody's business from wherever you're at to amazing. And it goes into sales and marketing and unique value proposition, financial strategy, people, leadership, right? The whole thing.
Love it.
And so then I turned that into a course that I was then able to sell because it was a lot cheaper than coaching and it was a lot easier. And so I was able to pivot. And within a few months, I was right back up where I was before. And it's less work in a course, right? You just, here's a course.
Yeah. Self-directed. You get to take yourself through this at your own pace, fit it into your own life. And if you get stuck and you decide you need additional help, well, who better to help you than me? Like, let's talk about what that looks like.
Yeah.
I do love that. And I feel like a lot of people, especially folks who come at business from a freelancer, I almost see these as elevations, even though that's not really accurate because I don't think one is above another. But if I'm thinking in terms of like graduated steps, there's employee, there's freelancer, there's business owner, there's entrepreneur. And like, these are kind of the stages that we go through in growth to get to the kinds of companies that you're working with. And I think that was that evolution between being the consultant, freelancer, service provider to getting you to business owner to get you. So I just think that that's interesting. I don't know if I've interviewed anybody else that had like that clear pivot point where it was like, all right, cool. Moving out of trading time for dollars into we're starting to create our product line. Love it.
Yeah, totally.
And how did you even come up with what to do? Was it all the questions that your clients had asked you over the years? Like, what was the inspiration behind that?
As far as what to do in the course?
Yeah, just coming up with the 60 videos and doing that in 4 months. That's just astonishing to me.
I actually had kind of a format from one of my mentors of how to transform a business. So so basically I just, took his stuff and he's like, yeah, take it, make your videos, you're good. And I just, in over time, I kind of created my own format as well and molded it into my own since then, especially for larger companies. But really it's just, any company wherever they're at to get to where they want to be, it's all a formula. It's all a formula. It's not this like magical thing. It's this foo-foo thing. It's a very logical step. You start here, you do X, you do step 1, 2, 3, X, Y, Z, and you get there. And if you skip steps, well, you could be skipping over something that could have been a very important foundation. I'll give you an example. A unique value proposition. Any company that's out there, if they want to be able to have the proper margins to be able to scale a company, they have to be different than everybody else, or else why would somebody pay them more than anybody else? And they just get commoditized. So they have to have what's called a unique value proposition that truly differentiates themselves in the marketplace, so they can charge more and have enough money, so when the money comes in, they can afford things like automation and people to be able to scale the company and remove themselves from the operations. Otherwise, they just, the commoditized companies, the people that don't have unique value propositions, they're the same price as their competitors, and they're only going to get to a certain size in their business, and they're not going to go any further. They're going to be stressed out day to day. They're trying to grow, or if they do grow, they just come right back down because they're the single operator.
Oh, yeah. And that makes a whole lot of sense to me. I feel like I've coached a lot of people that had the same kind of challenge. And especially when it came to money, they're worrying about, well, where should I set my price? And I asked them, well, what do you want to make? And that just starts us down a whole spiral of like self-worth. And I always ask them, like, if you don't know where you're going, how are we going to get you there?
It's like the Cheshire cat.
Yeah. I don't care if your goal is $500 a month or $5 million a month, but you've got to know where you're going. I don't have any judgments.
Have to know where you're going.
So, and it was interesting to me that you brought up the unique value proposition, because that's another place where I feel like people get really entangled. They go, I don't have a patent. I don't have this unique mechanism. That's another piece of that. I don't know what about me stands out. And has it been your experience with people that you work with that sometimes it's the company leader, it's the company personality, it's their approach to doing things, and their unique perspective is enough of a unique value proposition, or is it something else?
Could be. Typically, it's not so much that. It has to be something that's tangible to the client, something that makes a difference. And typically, it's around quality of product, speed of delivery, and or experience. It's typically one of these three things. And I'll give you like one of my clients. She's a mergers and acquisitions administration company. So she handles all the documentation, all the administration, everything else that's going on for large billion-dollar mergers and acquisitions. And prior to working with me, she didn't really have any unique value propositions. She had them, but she wasn't pulling them out of what she was doing and then putting it into the marketing and sales to allow her to differentiate herself. We've done that now. And like, for one of her things is she has this dashboard that she created, this phenomenal dashboard, and it outlined the entire M&A process, and it's a real-time thing. And all of her clients can see it, see exactly what's done, what's not done. None of her competitors have that. It's an amazing thing. In 1 second, you can see exactly what's going on. And so we turned that into a unique value proposition for her. And it's something that's on her website, it's on her marketing brochures, and it has gotten her a shit ton of business because we pulled it out. And that's just one of them, right? Yeah.
Ah, that's so fantastic. And I love that you have kind of a process to help somebody identify that, because it's so easy to get close to what you're doing and lose sight of the forest for the trees.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely focusing more on mergers and acquisitions now, but for the right client, I'll take on a coaching and consulting client.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and if you need somebody to refer to, I do coaching and consulting now, so that's great.
There you go. Right on.
Oh man, and I love that you talk about. There was a whole reason that I brought up the pandemic shift, because that's one of my favorite times to talk about business. And not just because of the impact that the pandemic had, which for some people it was horrible. So I admit that, like, there were a lot of businesses shuttered, a lot of lives impacted, all of my love. But I also love the fact that there were so many people that went, well, this sucks. Now what?
Now what?
Okay, pivot. I got to do something different. Yeah, that pause and pivot that you said. I want to put that on a freaking mug or a t-shirt, or like,
right?
I won't tattoo it on my forehead, but maybe somewhere else. Yeah. Regrets. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tattoo it here. And I like triple checks the spelling on all of the tattoos. So just how many people struggled and went under because they just got stuck looking at that door that closed. I can't serve people in person, and that's all that I know. So I guess this is the end for me. And I just want more people out there. If your story can inspire anybody to just pause and pivot. What else can I do? Now what? This door closed. Is there a window? Is there a ladder I can scale? What else can I do to get out of this box that I'm in?
It's interesting you say that, because I kind of look at as acquisitions almost as a pivot.
Hmm.
And we're going into, there's a lot of very large financial, kind of companies that are predicting, companies that are looking at what's to come. And a lot of them are saying 2024 is going to be a recessionary year.
Mm-hmm.
And, and so there could be a lot of business owners out there that are, in the slow lane. They don't have that growth or organically coming in. And so it's a great point to be able to pivot into potentially looking at acquisitions. And especially if you have cash is king going into a recession, because what happens in a recession, just like you said, Angie, is most people hunker down. Most people,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hunkering down. I'm not spending any money in marketing. I'm not spending anything. And because of it, business, the smart people have positioned themselves actually right now. So right now is a fantastic time to start positioning yourself, get your word out there, get your name out there, who you are. And then when it comes time to buy and gobble up all these companies, you're already in position, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what one of my friends said. Recessions and downtimes are when millionaires are made, because they're zigging when other people are zagging. They're out there taking a risk, knowing that the win is in the long term. It's not right now. So maybe I take an initial loss right now, or I'm super stressed and stretched right now, or maybe not. Maybe you had enough cash stockpiled, exactly like you said, to make this a net win. But take that risk, do what others aren't willing to do, and grow. Yeah. Growth is painful sometimes.
Well, absolutely. And being in the slow lane in business, it has a lot of pain points. Well, one is that when you're growing that slowly, you're generally limited on your operating income that you can afford to invest in, like I said, leaders or people or technology. So you're a much higher risk of burnout because you're doing everything and impacting your work-life balance. It also impacts your profitability. So with that small growth, you typically have to reinvest your profits into the company continuously to attempt to grow faster. That affects your lifestyle, prevents you from realizing what you want. And it impacts your growth. When you enter the world of acquisitions, you learn about something called multiple arbitrage. And I'd love to take a minute and explain to the audience what multiple arbitrage is.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Would that be okay? Okay, cool. So this is how we're going to make millions out of nothing. This is, before what I was talking about, it's all good and great, but this is the real reason to do, besides generational wealth, right? Which we're going to build. So let's say you're a $4 million annual revenue company with $1 million in EBITDA, right? Which is basically your net cash flow, right? So with that size of a company, how they determine the value of a company, it's basically your cash flow times some kind of a multiple plus whatever other assets. So with that size of a company, that multiple would be maybe a 4. Okay. So in this case, your company value might be $4 million, 1 million in cash flow times $4 million. So let's say you acquire 2 companies. First one's the same size at 4 million. Okay. Now you have 2 companies under one umbrella, $8 million in revenue and $2 million in cash flow. Follow me so far?
Yeah.
So you then acquire another company for 8 million, right? So because you went from 4 to 4, you're 8. So that you do it again next year for 8 million. You're now at $16 million in revenue and 4 million in cash flow. So here's multiple arbitrage. This is what we're talking about. Just because you're a larger company, the multiple that you're going to be bought for goes up. So your multiple increases from, in this case, it would be from about a 4 to a 6. So you only paid $12 million for the 2 additional companies, but because your multiple are 6 now, the value of that company under one roof is now $24 million. Ooh. Your original company had a value of $4 million. So that is an automatic $8 million in equity generation just for putting a few companies under one umbrella. And this roll-up strategy, it's ingenious, really. It's multiple arbitrage. And this is why you simply cannot stay in the slow lane. You have to pivot, get into acquisitions.
Oh, I love that. And just making, this is what I love about value and why I hate when people kind of get stuck on dollars and money. Because I keep going, well, but dollars don't exist. Not really, not anymore. I can't go out into the backyard and pick a dollar off a tree. But I can actually create one out of thin air in the ones and zeros that are floating above our head. I can create value exactly like, I know that's not entirely related to what you're talking about, but I still just find that fascinating about how new and interesting combinations, new and interesting portfolios can just exponentially increase value. And that's the key, guys. That's the key. Stop trading time for dollars.
Absolutely.
Stop it.
Absolutely.
And no judgment if that's where you're starting, by the way. If you're a freelancer or if you're just dipping your toes into business and you're hearing us talk about a $4 million company and going, well, I don't know if I'm on the right show. I'm glad to be able to bring people from just starting out to your level of expertise to share the full business journey and all of the perspective and all of the bumps and the pivots along the way so that people can see what's possible and where they're going. And that's really important to me.
You said it's a journey. It's a journey. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah. And some people are going to enter this and decide it's not for them and go back to a job. Totally cool. Some people are going to enter this and stay freelancers. Some people are going to stop at business owner. Some people are going to go all the way to entrepreneur. Some people are gunning for Elon Musk and they are not going to stop until they pull him down.
There you go.
I love
do it.
All of you. All of your goals are valid. Let's do this. And if you get to where you're gunning for Elon Musk, I know who you need to call. You need to call Patrick.
There it is. Boom.
Yeah. Well, this has been a fascinating conversation. Please tell us more where we can learn about your business and check you out online.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, on LinkedIn, my handle is Patrick V. Rogers, and that's V as in Vincent, Rogers. And my website is patrickvrogers.com, Patrick, V as in Vincent, Rogers, Rogers.com. And that's the best way to get a hold of me. One of those two.
Awesome. We're going to make sure that they have clickable links in the show notes so you don't have to worry about a thing. We got you.
Awesome.
And thank you so much for being on the show. This has been an enlightening conversation. I really hope that everybody got as much out of this as I did.
Very cool. Thanks for having me, Angie.
That's all for now. If you want to keep that kick-ass energy high, please take a minute to share this episode with someone that might need a high-octane dose of "you can do it." Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the Permission to Kick-Ass podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you stream your podcasts. I'm your host, Angie Coley, and I'm here rooting for you. Thanks for listening, and let's go kick some ass.